This is my Jackson USA Juggernaut, the Misha Mansoor HT6 signature guitar. It is the nicest guitar that I own, and it is now almost impossible to find. At the time of recording this video, there are currently no active reverb listings for this exact guitar. There's definitely no eBay listings for this model, and every major shopfront that I could find has sold out of this guitar and has been sold out for a very, very long time. Even finding it on things like, Facebook Marketplace or on high-end guitar Facebook groups, even that is just very, very rare these days. This exact model is taken from the 2015 line, and it was the first ever year that Jackson and Misha collaborated to release the Juggernaut signature model. At the time, it was only USAs that were available, but due to the popularity of these models, a Pro Series line was created. Since then, with a bunch of new variations, different woods, and new finish options popping up on the prestigious USA ones, these specs and this finish in particular on this particular model has slowly but surely been phased out of the market. So what is it about these particular Jackson USAs that are just so special? If you've been watching my channel over the years, you probably remember seeing this exact guitar in a bunch of earlier videos. And then over time, it started slowly phasing out of the usual rotation in favor of the newer Jackson guitars, like the Josh Smith signature, that blue one, or the Pro Plus Dinky 7, that kind of gold sparkle one as well. I might make it pop up every now and then, but it's never a mainstay on demos. So today, I want to give it the spotlight that it deserves in 2024, as I believe that this is the nicest guitar that the Jackson USA Custom Shop has ever manufactured, especially for modern metal applications. And as we go through it, you'll find that a lot of the specs on this guitar, the hardware, the specifications, somewhat paved the way for most modern guitar brands today, including cheaper import models. So going through the body and the specs of this guitar, we have a older body, so the actual core wood of the guitar is older. The newer models come with roasted older, but this is just your standard older. And as you can see on the top, it has this absolutely gorgeous quilted maple top. This is not a veneer. This is generally like a massive cap you can kind of see on the side there, including like the bevel and the arch top of the guitar, how thick it actually is. And I think I got very lucky with this model because I've seen other ones and I definitely think that this one definitely is like a little bit nicer than most. I find that the balance of like the quilt on this in particular is like, just thick enough. Like I don't want it to be too thin because then it kind of looks like a flame, but it's just really nice thick waves. Kind of looks like the ocean. It's really, really, really cool. It's got a quarter sawn maple neck along with an ebony fretboard, really dark ebony, mind you. This is like as blacked out as you can get it. And the quilted maple veneer on the top of the headstock looks really nice and matches the body really, really well. This guitar is obviously a 6-string. It's just a standard 25.5-inch Fender scale. Fender, Jackson, Charvel, all those brands use the same scales, and I really enjoy that scale. Currently, at the moment, this is in drop C, and I've got a set of 11 to 60s on there. Going through the hardware, at the bridge, we have the hip shot bridge. I'm a massive fan of these bridges, especially for hardtail purposes. I find that it's just like super sleek, super low profile, and it doesn't really get in the way of you playing. There's no rough or hard edges. It's just a very, very comfortable bridge. And if I'm going for a hardtail guitar that's not an Evertune, I'm most likely going to try and get one that's a hip shot these days. We have the hip shot O-ring knobs. Now, the tone pot is push-pull, so the tone only actually works when you pull it up. And then we have the volume knob as well, along with a 5-way switch where it's bridge, split inner coils, middle, split outer coils, and then neck from memory. The pickups that come in this guitar are the bare knuckle Juggernauts. It's also Misha Mansoor's signature pickup. I absolutely love the bare knuckle Juggernauts. This was the first guitar that I got with them in it, and I've fallen in love with them ever since, and now they are in like 4 or 5 of my guitars. On the fretboard, we have 24 stainless steel jumbo frets, and we also have like, the little shark fin inlays, typical Jackson, but these ones are a little bit smaller, they're a little bit cuter, and they're offset as well, so I think it's a little bit more tasteful. The nut that originally came on this guitar was a Graphtec Tusk nut, but I've since upgraded it to just a harder material. It's some sort of bone nut. On the back of the headstock, you can see there are the hip shot open gear locking tuners, super solid. This was my first experience with locking tuners, and I love them. I think they look and work great. On the side of the neck, you can see the inlays are actually lumen lay as well. Now, from memory, I don't think these were that common when the guitars were coming out around this time period, but now these days, like you can't find even a higher production model guitar, you can't really find them without lumen lays, or at least some sort of like glowing side dot. So Really love that feature. It's definitely saved me a couple times, not only on this guitar, but on other guitars that I've had it on since then. One thing I forgot to mention as well is the fretboard on this guitar has a 20-inch radius, which is relatively flat compared to most other things on the market. At the time, this was probably one of the only 20-inch fretboard radius guitars that you could get your hands on pretty, easily without going the super custom route. But these days, especially on the Juggernaut Pro Series models, you can get the 20-inch radius. The Mark Holcomb Signature has a 20-inch radius. I find that, more production guitars are getting flatter and flatter and flatter, where for a while there, it just seemed like the standard was 14 to 16. But since then, I think it would be reasonable to assume that this 20-inch radius kind of paved the way for fretboards to be flatter overall, especially on the modern metal lines of guitars from major brands. One design choice that I really like on this guitar that isn't available on the newer ones, and Misha or Jackson, if you are watching this, please consider doing it in the future, is the fact that this has the natural binding on the gloss finish. Like, this looks absolutely phenomenal because you can see the you can see the quilt on the actual binding because it's just taped off. But it just gives it this really nice outline. And, in the light, when it catches properly, you can see the little divots of the quilt. I love that. It looks absolutely awesome. And I low-key wish that Misha and Jackson would bring back these gloss finish ones again because it just makes the tops pop. Like, I know the new ones have that satin flame maple, but I don't know, man. Something about these gloss ones with the quilt just makes it move. You know what I mean? Another awesome feature on this guitar that I've definitely been seeing on a lot of newer guitars over the past couple of years is the truss rod adjustment at the heel of the neck, rather than putting it, at the headstock with like a little cover that you need to unscrew. Just having it there on the bottom, you can put anything in there and give it half a turn and it's good to go. Super handy, super stress-free. It just makes life a lot easier. Despite the fact that this is a bolt-on guitar, there is so much upper fret access. It's really good. For example, if I go all the way up here, I can easily go past the 24th fret without really trying. And that's due to, there's the little divots here and the bevel there. There's bevels here on the inside of the horn, as well as on the back. There's these massive cuts over here. It's really hard to see in the light. Oh, there's a kind of better example. So yeah, it's cut pretty deep alongside like a pretty decent belly cut as well. There's just a lot of playability on this thing and it works really well, especially for the super fast playing where you're jumping from up there to down there. Super comfortable and it just works. The actual finish of this guitar is called Laguna Burst, and it's pretty eye-catching. Like, it's very like in your face, but I do enjoy it. It works really well with the quilted maple because it kind of looks like the ocean, like I mentioned before. So you got that kind of like dark blue outline, and then as it fades in, gets into more of like a turquoisey kind of lighter blue color. That being contrasted with the natural taped off binding again, I think it's just absolutely like, chef's kiss, you know what I mean? I wish they did this in like a deep red or like a crimson that goes into a red. That would be sick. But yeah, like a lot of the features that I've been talking about in this guitar, the flat radius, the bare knuckle pickups, the super low profile hardtail bridge, the fact that the tone pot only works when it's pulled up. I've got that on like every single guitar, and if it doesn't have it, I get it modded to do that. The 5-way pickup selector with the split inner coils and split outer coils, the lumen layers. Like, ever since getting this guitar, a lot of the features that are on it, I just simply cannot live without. And it's just one of those things, like once you've driven a Ferrari, it's kind of hard to go back to a Toyota. But it is good to see that, a lot of the specs that I just mentioned, back in the day, 2015 is nearly 10 years ago now. So at that time, a lot of those features were mainly just on like USA's or really expensive guitars. But as time has gone on and things have gotten better in like, the production lines from major brands, a lot of these features are creeping their way into the production, import guitars, which is really cool. Like, this is an import version. Actually, no, that's the 7-string version. Let's get this one out. This is the import version of the same guitar. So you can see there's a little bit of a difference. Like, obviously it doesn't have the super nice top and, the fretboard and the neck is a little bit different. This is roasted maple and everything. But as far as like the actual specs and everything goes, like the 20-inch radius, the exact same body carve and body cut. This has bare knuckle pickups in it. I put them in there. It doesn't come with them stock, but obviously it's an import model, something has to give. But this does have the Evertune, and I actually play this more these days because of that. But again, like lumen lace side dots, like locking tuners, everything that is on this guitar is pretty much on this one, and it's like a quarter of the price, which is insane. This guitar is pretty sentimental to me. It's actually like, watched me grow up, and, I got it when I was 18. I'm 24 now. And, the YouTube channel and everything was just getting kickstarted when I got this guitar in my hands. I got it from Port Macquarie Guitars in New South Wales. It was the last one that they had on their website, and I got it for an absolute steal at $3,000 Australian, and it was brand new. I think it was the last one that they had. I sold a bunch of guitars, I saved up all my money, and this was like the first ever really, really, really nice guitar that I got my hands on. And since then, obviously a lot of things have changed. The YouTube channel's gotten bigger, there's more things happening, and I feel like I owe a lot of it to this guitar. And the specs that then guided me to like have other guitars very similar to this one. And being a Jackson artist now, it's super, super, super cool to be a part of that family. And it pretty much all stemmed from this guitar, which is insane to me. This is one of my favorite guitars, and it never gets the light that it deserves. I rarely play it anymore because I'm always gravitated to the cheaper Indonesian model with the Evertune in it. But I think it goes without saying that there is definitely a mojo surrounding this guitar. And even though, these days it doesn't get as much playtime as I would like, every time I pick it up, it just feels like home. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if you want me to go through any of the other guitars that you see on the channel. But until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.